Heyo, what is going on, everybody? Depraved Slasher, and we are back with another music reaction. I'm Depraved.
I'm Hellcat.
And together we are...
Hello, Depraved.
Yes, we are. So, Nico's going to be happy.
Yes, he is.
Nico has been requesting for a very long time that we react to Ekoh.
Right.
A very long time. And we did Cheating Like.
Cheating Like?
Well, I did Cheating Like.
Yeah. That sounds more like it.
Because he was on Crypt Cypher.
Right, okay. So you listened to him with a bunch of other people?
Yes. We were actually discussing who we were going to listen to for our in-between Throwback Thursday tracks, and this is the one we chose. So, there you go. This is for you, Nico.
Although the other choice was also one he asked us to react to as well, wasn't it?
No.
Oh, okay.
That was just one that dropped that I personally am interested in. So here we are. This is Ekoh. This track is called Why Aren't You Angry? We're going to slash it up and break it down as we do.
Okay.
And I don't know what we're getting into. So
neither do I. So it might just be we digress. Depends.
There's 100% probabilities that'll happen.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's get it.
Us.
Oh, and if you're here for no pausing,
you were warned.
You're in the wrong place.
Yeah.
Love you, though. Okay, I love you. Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Let's get it.
Why aren't you angry? Why aren't you looking around? Why aren't you upset? Why aren't you thinking out loud? What is you scared, huh? Don't want to take that stance? Yeah, it's safe where you sit in the stands, right? Why aren't you angry? If you've been looking around, why aren't you upset? Why aren't you thinking out loud? What is you scared, huh? Don't want to take that stance? Yeah, it's safe where you sit in the stands, right?
I like the chorus so far.
I'm liking it.
He's like, he's just being honest. Why aren't you angry?
Yeah.
Why don't you say what is on your mind?
Actually, a female artist that came out with a song, and it was more for a lot of the kind of Me Too kind of movement time period, Lola.
Right.
She made a track called Why Aren't You Angry? Or it might just be Angry Too at this point. But it has the same basic message right here. Like, why aren't you angry? If you see all of this,
right?
Why are you just sitting there in the stands doing nothing? And yes, it's safe.
Right.
But, you should be angry. You should be speaking out. I like it. I like the bass a lot.
Me too.
What is you scared, huh? Don't want to take that stance? Yeah, it's safe where you sit in the stands, right? Fuck the system, the status, and keeping peace. Political activists only acting in a tweet when there's black people dying at the hands of the police. But it's only talked about when there's riots in the streets and we fight back.
Ooh!
It's only talked about when there's riots in the streets. Once it dies down, it's no longer trending.
No, well, I think that's what he's getting into. But I think that whole thing was more about leading up to that. Was more about fuck, I had the idea. Hold on.
People dying at the hands of the police, but it's only talked about when there's riots in the street.
He's talking about political activism.
Mm-hmm.
They're like,
yeah, they only do it when it's
when
fresh. Yeah.
Thank you.
But that's what I meant by
shit on me completely.
That's what I meant by trending more so than like Twitter, for example. But like when it's hot news is when political activists will jump on it because it's hot news.
Right.
And then
because they feel like they can actually gain a bigger following and benefit off of it.
Right. But then once it dies down, they don't keep the momentum going, I guess is what I want to say. Yeah.
Tweet when there's black people dying at the hands of the police, but it's only talked about when there's riots in the streets and we fight back. See, they discriminate and typecast. When we say that all cops are bad, they don't like that. And now the gap between the haves and have-nots is bigger than it's ever been. It feels like it can't stop the unemployment.
Now, I will say, I don't believe all cops are bad cops.
Me neither.
I do know that is a very popular saying amongst people right now.
Right.
There are some very good cops out there.
I agree.
But at the same time, what I don't like is because of the politics within law enforcement.
Their hands are kind of tied.
People won't step in to stop things when they could.
Because a lot of times their hands are kind of tied.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, for me, if I'm a cop and I see one of my fellow
Right.
officers aiming
You
a gun
step
at
in.
somebody that doesn't need it, I'm going to step in and stop
Right.
it. Like, dude, what the fuck are you thinking?
Right. And I agree entirely. I'm just saying
But
that
I feel like people care so much more about their careers than they do the lives of the people that they're affecting.
sometimes there's definitely a jaded cynicism that comes after years on any, not just cops, but any sort of emergency services.
Right.
You see a lot of the banals of humanity. You know, you have to kind of harden so that you don't crumble each and every time something is tragic. And there's very little you can do because of politics.
Right.
Again, it's corruption in the system. It doesn't mean that all cops are bad cops. It doesn't mean that all politicians. I'm not going to go there.
I'm pretty sure all politicians
Yeah,
are shitty.
well, I'm not going to go there.
That's another story.
But not everyone in the bureaucracy is a terrible person.
Right.
So,
I'm going to sneeze.
Gap between the haves and have-nots is bigger than it's ever been. Feels like it can't stop. The unemployment, the highest we've ever seen. And administration's poor management of a disease. Now we see through the shit. Another Wall Street bailout, but can't afford to fund the inner cities getting teared down. And all we hear is these entitled fucks. You're taking this too serious. Hey, whiten up. Thinking everything will change if Biden won. You motherfuckers think the only problem is Trump. But who am I to speak?
yeah.
Ooh.
No, there is a deep-seated corruption
It
in
is.
just about every bureaucratic system we have.
Very deep-seated.
Yeah, I mean, whether it's independent or federal, it doesn't matter. I mean, greed is greed, and people are attracted to it.
Right.
It's just the way it is.
It's, I do feel like even after the slaves were freed, I feel like there were a lot of laws put into place that still exist today
To hold them back.
to hold back and alienate
Mm-hmm.
and dehumanize
Yep.
black people.
Yep.
And to a lesser extent, or more extent, I don't know, poor people in general.
Poor people, women. I mean, your minorities that you see. Hispanics at this point. Anyone who has conquered Native Americans. Huge
Right.
problem. Of course, you know, right now we are focused on the Black Lives Matter movement, which I am 100% supportive of.
Right.
But pretty much all of those minorities do face the same kind of shady laws
Right.
that make it easy for the system to kind of blacklist them, kind of push them to the side. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Everything will change if Biden won. You motherfuckers think the only problem is Trump. But who am I to speak? White male in America, made a living off of black culture. I'm aware of it. Trying to check the privilege that I have and educate myself to understand best I can and demonstrate it. Yeah, like homie, take a look around.
And I like that.
I
I
really
like
like that. He's doing the best he can to educate himself.
And that's something people need to do more of, especially white people.
Oh, yeah. One of the biggest things, like in what we were just talking about, like the shady movements that were put in place to keep them minorities as kind of like second class or lower citizens, is our process of education. And by eradicating any history that had to do, like real history, that is factual and substantive in terms of like Native American history, actual African American history, like the actual stuff. All of that stuff is out of our history books.
Right.
So for a lot of us coming out into the adult life and then hearing this stuff, we're like, Well, how is that possible? I thought that we've learned over way too many years, I should point out, the 250 years of American history. And it's all left out.
Well, and I think a big part of the problem too is with history. They've pretty much bullet pointed history for schools now. And they kind of take this idea of if you're interested in something, look further into it on your own time.
Yeah, but then they also make certain amounts of it mandatory. And honestly,
Right.
in terms of what was studied in England and how many centuries of history they teach throughout the school years there versus the couple of centuries of American history.
Right.
We spend so much time on just a couple centuries in America. Like, we make it very important to memorize all the names of the presidents and this, that. Like, there's no time to have at least a chapter, like a real chapter.
Right.
On some of these, I mean, like, that's the part that baffles me. And yeah, they say history is written by the victor, but seriously?
Right.
I mean, so we come out with very little knowledge of these things unless we've grown up in it and the discrimination is towards us. Or we've grown up with friends, like very close friends or family that we've seen it happen to. So educating ourselves is part of the process. And I like how he said it, though. He's not resentful about it or bitter about it. He's just like, it's what we do. It's how we learn. It's how we grow. It's how we change our views. It's important.
Right. And I think touching on that a little bit more, one of the biggest problems I have with white people is so many of, I don't know, us, them, whatever, don't recognize white privilege.
Right.
So many of them try to be like, oh no, everybody's got the same, opportunities and stuff. And it's like, no, no, they don't.
Look,
I
I know it's really hard to accept that you have white privilege if you have not done anything with it. Like,
Right.
I get it. It's very hard. But on the flip side, like, I may be getting federal assistance for a disability. I may not have ever finished my college degree. Like, I did not do as much with my white privilege, which I know I've had,
Right.
as I could have. But I had it. I mean, sure, it makes me feel kind of like a failure just a little bit. But on the flip side, like, it was there, and I recognize it.
Right. And so many people think of it as so one-dimensional too, and it's not. It's like, again, I don't fear for my life when I'm pulled over by the cops.
Right.
I also understand that I've had opportunities placed before me
Right.
that other people haven't.
Right.
And it's a real thing, and it drives me crazy when I get into arguments with other white people about it.
And they just don't recognize it,
And they're like,
then
"No,
refuse to see it.
There's no white privilege." And it's like, dude, you were raised in the suburbs in a really nice place and had everything handed to you.
Right. You knew you were going to college.
Right.
Like, it was just a foregone conclusion.
And
You may not have finished, but you knew you were going.
So many black people are forced to live in projects and ghettos and fight for their lives to survive, and
Then you
because of that don't have the opportunities to go to college to do this. And yeah, you can sit here and be like, oh well, they've made that decision.
No.
Like, no,
It was
until
made
you
for them.
fully understand like psychology and
Yeah.
how everything, it's not always their decision. Sometimes it's forced on them.
Right.
A lot of times it's forced on them.
Well, and
And
it's just not an option is the other part of that. It's not that, any of that is, I mean, I agree with you 100% that this is just kind of on top of that. Like, college is not an option. It's not even just like a forced thing. It's just, unless they're a straight A student and valedictorian of their high school, and they get in on some sort of minority scholarship,
Right.
knowing that their school is from, like, say, a ghetto part of the inner city, which means that they're less likely to even be considered even with the scholarship for minorities
Right.
because of the ranking of the school within the state. I mean, like, there's so many things against them. So many things.
Very true.
And how are you supposed to maintain 4.0 or higher if you're responsible for taking care of your siblings, you're starving? I mean, there's just, you're cold all the time. There's so many complications. There just are. And the rest of us are like, yeah, like, our parents made us eat dinner at the dinner table. That was the complication in our life.
Educate myself to understand best I can and demonstrate it. Yeah, like homie, take a look around. You think there ain't a problem, you just ain't been affected. Like what's it gonna take for you to see it now? Cause it's so obvious that I don't fucking get it. Why aren't you angry? Why aren't you looking around? Why aren't you upset? Why aren't you thinking out loud? What is you scared, huh? Don't wanna take that stance? Yeah, it's safe where you sit in the stands, right? Why aren't you angry? If you've been looking around, why aren't you upset? Why aren't you thinking out loud? What is you scared, huh? Don't wanna take that stance? Yeah, it's safe where you sit in the stands, right?
Yo, Ekoh, homie, I do want you to, like, be careful. Illuminati might come for you.
Don't get shot.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. We don't want to find
If
you
you
in
see
your front
people in
yard.
suits walking towards you, turn around.
Yeah. Like, I'm really liking this, though.
I am.
And I really like that. Why aren't you angry? Yeah. Why aren't you looking around?
What is you scared, huh? Don't wanna take that stance? Yeah, it's safe where you sit in the stands, right? No, marijuana's an essential business, but we still keeping people locked up on a bogus sentence. How the fuck do you explain that? All the privatized prisons make it.
And that's something I agree with too, and I've always agreed with.
Right.
First off, I think weed 100% should be legal.
Right. We're not smokers, by the way.
I'm not a smoker. I don't smoke weed.
Yeah.
I don't enjoy it. She's allergic to it. I still think it should be legal.
Yeah. Neither of us
And-
are particularly bothered by it, but yeah, we're not.
The problem is, in so many places where it has been legalized, they're still keeping people locked up.
Oh, yeah. Because
For what they had done.
federally, it's not recognized, which is a bullshit argument.
And yeah, it's
The thing that even before it became legalized in a lot of states really bothered me is, like, California has a 3-strike rule, right? So there are people that have gone to jail for life based on weed sentencing because it's their 3rd strike.
right.
And to me, that is utterly ridiculous because here we are with, and this is just one example, it's been done multiple times before, but with the corona pandemic. And so all of these legal people are getting together and trying to empty out the prisons to stop the spread of the virus around prisons. And they are considering that there was, and I don't remember which state it was, but there was an article that I read where they were going to release a serial killer because none of them had read up on his file, and yet they're not even considering the person that's sitting away for having personal smoke on him. I mean,
Right.
some more than that, but honestly, you know, I would rather have someone who is fucking dealing pounds out of the back of his car than a rapist or a pedophile or a serial killer people back on the streets.
Right.
That's ridiculous. So, yeah, I've never agreed with that.
No, me neither.
People locked up on a bogus sentence. How the fuck do you explain that? All the privatized prisons making billions off of their backs. If it don't line the pockets and they don't line it up. If it increases profits, then go and lock them up. Don't wanna see another tweet from Donald Trump in all caps lock trying to pander to these stupid fucks. You know, the ones who think global warming's fake. Then they wanna spend money militarizing space. Built a wall on the border to keep you safe when the healthcare and education here is a disgrace.
Right.
$5 says
Absolutely
Trump is a
right.
flat earther.
I'm not betting on that. I'd lose.
Oh my god.
I
Don't get me wrong. When it comes to money, personal money, Trump is fucking brilliant.
Right. Because it's his money.
But everything else,
He's a fucking idiot.
I feel like he licks windows.
These schnozberries taste like schnozberries.
Like,
Right.
sometimes he tweets things, and I'm just like,
Why doesn't he have a handler?
why doesn't somebody take his fucking phone away from
Right.
him? Like, where's his
Child lock.
where's his-
Just child lock it.
daughter to be like, Dad, fucking quit it?
Well, why isn't his like? Why didn't they hire a handler? Be like, that's fucking embarrassing. Like they have the money, they could just hire like a nanny, and anytime he wanted to go into his golden throne room, just make sure that he has no phone devices on him. Like no.
And but Eko's right in that, like, he does. He legit tweets out things to pander to the people that,
In all caps locks.
yeah,
Yeah.
that agree. Well,
Well, he disagreed. Like he writes out contradictory things of his own tweets.
Right.
Because he just says whatever people want to hear at the time that they want to hear it.
I'm still waiting for the first death to show up of somebody that tried to inject Clorox into their fucking system.
Oh, good lord, that parody that I showed you, fucking hilarious.
But fucks, the ones who think global warming's fake. Then they want to spend money militarizing space. Built a wall on the border to keep you safe when the healthcare and education here is a disgrace. And then the clickbait generation media saying anything they gotta say, so you read it, huh? And both sides never speaking the truth. They got a view when they pushing that agenda to you. Why aren't you angry? Why aren't you looking around? Why aren't you upset? Why aren't you
And that's exactly why I don't claim any kind of political side.
Right. Both of them are just as screwed up.
Because the problem is, so many people in those political parties, the Republicans and the Democrats, swear to that political party
Right.
and all of their beliefs.
Yep.
And it's like, I just wish people had a mind of their fucking own. Because we're to the point now where people really don't have their own thought processes or anything like that. Like,
both parties are just as corrupt, and I want to be free to decide which is the better of two evils, honestly. Every time it comes to voting and whatnot.
I don't know why people don't ever vote independent. Like, and you know what's funny? What cracks me up so much is there's so many people out there that like want to vote for somebody independent, but then they're like, but it's going to fall on deaf ears. Like, there's no reason to do that because nobody else is going to vote for it. But if everyone did, if
everyone that said they were going to did, yeah.
Right, it would actually make that third party have almost as much legitimacy as the other two.
Matter. Keep that in mind, people. It would matter. Yeah. Why aren't you angry?
agenda to you? Why aren't you angry? Why aren't you looking around? Why aren't you upset? Why aren't you thinking out loud? What is you scared, huh? Don't wanna take that stance? Yeah, it's safe where you sit in the stands, right? Why aren't you angry? If you've been looking around, why aren't you upset? Why aren't you thinking out loud? What is you scared, huh? Don't wanna take that stance? Yeah, it's safe where you sit in the stands, right? Poor neighborhoods being gentrified. Only open-minded when that shit's incentivized. They're spraying food with chemicals and pesticides, and y'all still worried about how people identify? How you gon' feel when you start to see mentally ill still can't get the help they need? They're making deals with pharmaceutical companies while the homeless rate skyrockets to the next degree. Hold up, oh shit, it's America, only corporate socialism. Always talking immigration, how it needs revision, when we're the ones who got the cages that they're putting kids in. I love this country with my whole...
Ooh, bitter truth.
Yes, and
But
oh my god, when I
one
seen
needs
that,
to-
I
it
was
horrifying.
so pissed.
Horrifying.
Like,
That's one of the times that I almost threw my phone. I get really angry when I see stuff like that.
putting kids in cages because their
there's
parents are
no-
being deported.
No
Like,
reason. None.
no one
No one should be in a... No.
ever except
Honestly,
for
the
prisoners.
only... Yeah, I was going to say the only people that should be in cages are like serial killers, rapists, pedophiles.
But you're talking about kids who are one day going to school and then the next day they're in a fucking
they
cage.
did nothing.
And the only reason they're in the cage is because their parents haven't gotten their legalization of it in America yet. And to be honest, a lot of people come over here illegally because of how ridiculous our process to become a legal citizen is and how long it takes to fucking get there.
And they're going to die where they are. Yeah. I mean, look. Yeah.
And no, I'm not saying let anyone and everyone that wants to come from everywhere.
We need to at least speed up our process.
But speed up the process.
And I'm not saying, like, make it simpler in terms of, like, the background checks and so on, but it needs to be sped up, which means we need more people in the positions that are doing all the checks and groundwork, just like we need more teachers and we need more like social workers for children. I mean, there's all of these things. The homeless, like Ekoh was just talking about. There's so many things in our country that are very important right now that are falling to the wayside because we have someone sitting on a golden throne, and it's not just him. It's been plenty of politicians before that are saying, look the other way. I need money for the military or for weapons or for this or that. And by the way, they are defunding parts of the military too, which again, I don't think that that's an appropriate answer, but
No.
the one percenters or whatever, that the corporations that he's discussed, like the pharmaceutical companies, the prisons, the privatized, they're making so much money off of the U.S. citizens, and none of it is being redistributed to the areas that need the most help.
Mm-hmm.
And who's suffering? The kids, the handicapped, the veterans, all people that should really matter, the elderly. No, it's disgusting.
Very.
It needs revision when we're the ones who got the cages that they're putting kids in. I love this country with my whole heart, but I'm mad cause I know that we're better than this. Yeah, it's rough, but it's a place to start. And if you really do care what the flag represents, why aren't you angry?
Ooh, I love the way he ended that.
Yeah.
It reminds me of a conversation that I had with one of our mutual friends who I will remain nameless. We'd gotten into a conversation, and I don't remember what it was that brought it up, but I told him straight up. I was like, dude, I love my country, but I am not proud to be an
Right.
American right now. Like, we have things so fucked up.
Right. I'm grateful to, and I said this in some other reaction we did, I am grateful to be a U.S. citizen. I realize the privilege that it's afforded me. I have lived in England, so I have lived in another country, not, anything too far from what we know here, but still. But on the flip side, there's so much rotting in our country. I'm not proud of it at all right now. In fact, I am angry. And I mean, we've said in our previous reactions that's how we feel.
Right.
This whole thing is a travesty, and it's reached a boiling point, and it should have been listened to, respected, and dealt with sooner. Honestly, they're U.S. citizens. They should have been treated as equals from the beginning. These kids that he's talking about, the veterans, whatever, all of them should have been treated as equal and had their rights respected, because they're basic human rights. We shouldn't even be debating it.
No.
There is no debate. You're human, I'm human. We should have equal rights. The only time that I find an exception to that is if you have taken those equal rights and thrown them back in the faces of humanity, such as serial killers, rapists, pedophiles. I'm not even putting, like I said before, like the drug dealers and shit. They don't go in that category for me. They deserve a second chance. And I definitely don't think someone who's been selling weed should be put away for life because of a 3-strike rule. Especially since a lot of them are in the cycle of this is what they need to do to survive.
Right.
So it's so much in our country is bullshit.
Agreed.
And all the wrong people are profiting, and all the good people are the ones that are suffering.
Very true.
Love the track. Now that we've ended it on a...
Yes, that is a very good track, Ekoh.
Yeah.
Again, this is the very first ever just Ekoh
Individual
reaction.
I
And it
love
was
the
a good
beat
one.
choice. I really liked his hook.
I like his voice.
I like his
rap
hook.
wise. Like his voice just period
I agree.
is
And I really liked the emphasis that he put on the "why aren't you angry?" Like you could tell how he felt about this.
right.
His lyrical ability is great. All in all, this was a very catchy and sonically pleasing track, but also with an incredible
Poignant
deep,
message.
yeah, social injustice type message. I really liked it.
Poignant.
Poignant?
Poignant.
There you go. Our word of the night.
But no, yeah, it was a great track, Ekoh. Loved it. We'll definitely add it to a playlist of some sort somewhere.
Definitely.
And yeah, so that is going to do it, guys. Be sure to slash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. Comment. Let us know what your thoughts are.
Yep.
And check the description below for all the things.
Follow the link to Ekoh. Subscribe, like.
Follow the bouncing ball.
That will not be there.
Right. But yes, definitely sub to Ekoh. And help tell them to pray sent you.
Yep.
And that's going to do it. We love y'all. Thank y'all for watching. We cannot wait to see you to praise people later. Peace.
Night.